we started the whole.
You got to put that as going right off the bat, didn't you?
I think it just starts off as soon as it, as soon as I open it.
Yeah, yeah, we hear that. It'd be kind of nice for a classroom. I would have that volume up nice and loud in the classroom.
We have the kids.
As soon as they hear recording.
I think Penny's with us, Bob.
Yeah, looks, yeah,
Oh.
but Penny's in there.
Hi, Penny.
Hi.
Oh, Tasha?
Okay.
Oh.
I'll be the first one I've ever done that.
I will be glad to see that.
Okay. When you're ready, Spencer.
Whenever you are.
Okay.
Good morning, so we're ready.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is March 13th, 2024 at approximately 8:35. This is the Canby Traffic Safety Commission, and we are starting our meeting. So welcome. Why don't we go around the table and introduce everyone?
We can start with me. and have you
Why
start.
not? You know, change of pace.
Okay. Council President. The liaison to this commission.
Eric Van Zant, member.
Jackie Jones, member.
Clint Pullman, member.
AJ Miller, Canby Police.
Spencer Pollock, Canby Public Works.
Deanna Baltar, vice chairperson.
Gary Bryant, member of the committee.
Brian Lally, citizen.
Bob Canberra, chairperson for the commission. Online, we have Penny, you want to say hi?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to send around the sheet so that people can kind of sign in and put their contact information.
Oh, you lost.
Okay. All right. Has everybody had a chance to review the Traffic Safety Commission meeting minutes from February 14th?
I move that we approve the minutes from the February meeting.
And Eric seconds it. All those discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay. This morning we have the agenda says 3, but Joe Clifford will be joining us in April. He's waiting when we have a chance to do a traffic study for South Knox, and he'll be then. And hopefully, you know, depending upon Public Works schedule, we're hoping to get that done next month. Please note that Jennifer has joined us. Okay, so we have two citizens today, Brian and Penny. Let's start off with Brian and Mr. Wally. Welcome. You want to give a short recap and then we can proceed.
I was concerned about crossing Southwest 13th and Third. Trying to get to Hope Village and from Hope Village. And there's a crosswalk, there's no signs or anything saying crosswalk ahead or stop sign or anything. And I've crossed numerous times, just about getting flipped a couple times. So I'm an advocate for some signage or something for that intersection.
Okay, if you could sit down just a little.
It's like otters.
You want Street View or
For,
this is for right here?
oh, is that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bless your heart. It looked like an intersection. Okay. Folks, have you guys had a chance to drive by there? I did several times.
I walk it a lot myself, so.
Okay.
I know how dangerous it is.
And about 2 weeks ago, I was driving home from that way. And I saw a car go right through when somebody was standing at the corner. I stopped way ahead of time to let the person know that I was slowing down. And the lady was excited because she was like, whoa, so she waved at me and thanked me, but the person in the other opposing lane was kind of like hesitant to, but then they finally did stop. But she was kind of reluctant to go out there, and I know for me personally, I walk that too, and it's one that I try to avoid.
Yeah, I parked on, for facing southbound and, watched a young lady cross the street. She had that fear of just standing on the corner and fear of going, so.
It could be in the middle of the intersection.
And traffic didn't seem too busy. It seemed like normal traffic on there. But yeah, I saw you can tell in her body language, she just had that presence of going a little farther, and then she just would stop. Like she froze up.
For the first time, I had the experience of having the sun in my eyes when it was setting and the difficulty seeing it. Like I knew it was there, so I was watching for it, but it was the first time coming 13 on the way to Park Parkway that I was like, oh wow, it actually is kind of difficult to see when the sun is setting. So that's been.
Yeah, my wife got hit there. During sunset a couple of summers ago, and the driver finally stopped and said, I couldn't see you. And then I said, no, it's just, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Is there certain times of the day that you would say are much more dangerous than others?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. Increased flow of traffic, rush hour morning, rush hour afternoon.
School times.
Lunch hour.
Yeah, I mean,
But how about pedestrians?
I can't.
It's so sporadic.
After school.
It's sporadic because I see people who are residents of Hope Village trying to cross there. And they walk right by my house, and I of course have a wife in a middle unit at Hope Village, so I walk there. And, you know, it's like, I mean, well, better stay where I'm at, or yeah, they're gonna stop, you know, I mean, it's a guessing game.
Right.
Each street. Officers Miller thanks enforcement on this street, that there is a lot of speeding on 13th Street. I mean, our focus was a little bit further down by the baseball fields, but from experience, that cars are moving rapidly on 13th Street.
It's kind of a bypass for 99.
Right.
It definitely is.
And so, despite our flashing lights, 2 sets of flashing light, it has not stopped the flow of traffic.
Well, observe the speed reader, as I did a couple days. Speeding, yeah.
Yeah.
You get your 32s, I didn't see anything in the 40 range, but low to mid 30s are not uncommon.
Placement of that thing is gonna you're not gonna get 40s per se, unless somebody's gunning it off that stuff, you know, it's usually.
There's enough visibility.
Yeah, they're gonna come up slower, you know,
Right.
so. High 30s is kind of indicative of a speedy car, because I mean, you know, there's a short pathway between the reader and four-way stop.
Right.
So let's go through, in my mind, there was 3 different factors that were talked about, and correct me if I'm wrong. One was sight. And is there a problem with sighting? I don't know if that tree,
There's a tree and a stop sign on the.
that trees, the trees around, I don't know if the trees.
Which corner, yeah,
The opposite of a bush.
okay,
Yeah,
Fir and.
or that's on fur.
So is the trees blocking sight of the person standing at the intersection?
Yeah, so, yeah, the other way. Where that, right behind that car, right there, those bushes over.
Right. Yeah,
During certain times of the year, that bush gets a little overhanging. The stop sign there.
But see,
Or not.
you can see the stop sign right there. It looks like the proper depth and width.
Well, it's hard to.
But if you're a pedestrian, you're gonna have to go out to that first block and kind of like stick your head
That's what I'm
out.
trying to say.
Yeah, these are the parking lot.
yeah, you,
Mhm.
You have to almost get to the bicycle lane to see.
Mhm.
Can I ask something? Similar to flags work very well for pedestrians, or if you have like a flag station on each side where you were gonna cross, you grab one of the flags. Carry it across.
I know nothing about flag stations, so I can't say.
Yeah, and I see that as the kids will play with those and they'll be gone.
Yeah. Or steps.
So sight is not necessarily a major issue.
What year is this image? What does it say?
July of
23.
Okay, because there's a
Just close
crosswalk across, parallel with 13th, which when we were looking at the overhead view, wasn't visible. So we can have
Second.
the two sides.
You talked about lighting. At certain times is the evening,
It's terrible.
is there lighting on that intersection?
Well, the lighting that he's talking about, it's the sun.
So it's like too much lighting.
Not, it's
So
too much
lines
light,
you're
not,
missing.
not traffic light.
Driving in.
No, what I was talking about, light, ambient light on the, crosswalk so that people can see that somebody's crossing, somebody's there and.
There is a street light right here.
But if you go down the south, you
Okay,
have those old ones that are the bad lighting.
Yeah, but for this intersection, the lighting's. The only quote unquote lighting impact is when the vehicles are heading
For some.
westbound. Yeah, for sunset. That's the only lighting issue.
So with the crossing lights, like we have in Territorial, would that help here? The push button,
that's what I would champion.
But is
would that be a benefit here, or would it just be throwing money at something that's not gonna work?
see,
My personal opinion is I don't know that a push button there is the most economical place just because it is already at a marked intersection crosswalk, and those are normally more so used at mid-block crossings.
Okay, that makes sense. So just, we need a crosswalk ahead sign, or, I mean, I don't even know if that would work. I don't know what the solution is here, because it doesn't seem like signage people read it a lot,
No.
as we know on Fourth and Pine. So I'm just relating my experience with Fourth and
Yeah.
Pine, putting that here.
Crosswalk stand there?
We have before,
It's been a while.
yeah,
What was that, I'm sorry?
a crosswalk operation. We've done one at this intersection before. I think we've been focusing, the last couple we've done towards the school zones, like Baker Prairie and Lee on Ivy.
Is there anything that lights up that is not that actual like push button light? Like is there kind of an intermediate option potentially? Or is it just pavement or one of those? I would say that it might be worth considering, even though it is expensive, to have something there. Because it's one of the darkest parts of the street. And when the sun hits it, it washes it out. We're gonna see more and more people trying to use some kind of cross across 13th. It's not just 13th and Ivy. They're building a new, I don't know if it's a memory care center, it's some kind of like long-term care center at the corner of 13th and
Memory
Ivy.
care.
Further down on Fur, across from, on the other side from Hope Village, they're extending one of those streets straight through and building some stuff over there. There's new housing that's been built further down. I just feel like as people avoid 99, which they're gonna be doing for some time because of the construction, but then it's just in that many more people's minds that it's an option. Because anytime there's a detour and you take a new route, you're like, ooh, this road goes through straight, and oh, this is faster. People don't forget that if they're local or if they're visiting. So I'm concerned that the increase in traffic is not temporary and that we're also going to see just a local increase in traffic because of the way that things are building up. So I would say it's maybe worth considering despite the cost.
And that's the bush I was talking about.
Yeah,
It definitely overhangs.
If I can ask one more question, as a comparison, what is the safety using that crosswalk versus crossing in Elm versus crossing back up at I?
Elm is rough because it suffers from the same issue of the sun.
Yeah.
It's not as significant, but it is bad.
Well, Home's a four-way stop.
That's a stop.
And
Yes,
it's a
So
lot
it's no
faster.
problem there to speak.
Well,
No.
there is a problem, but you know, the car has to come to a stop. So I mean, the.
They're supposed to.
Well, they're supposed to, but you know, there is more people coming to a stop, so a pedestrian can take a step and they know
We have here.
that the car at least stops. At Ivy, there is a lighted, that whole intersection is lighted, not the way we want it to be lighted, but.
We're working on it.
It is lighted, it is lighted, so I mean,
But for all the
You
intents
know-
and purposes, this almost is a mid-block. It's at an intersection with a small side street, but it kind of functions more similarly to a mid.
So I'll touch on something real quick. So in my mind, the pedestrian also has the responsibility to make eye contact and make themselves known that they're there attempting to cross, right? To make that driver aware.
Right.
So I don't know if it's like a Hope Village thing where we can do an educational thing for people at Hope Village and educate them on the responsibilities of being a pedestrian trying to cross the street rather than walking out and getting in the street so they can see you, rather than sitting and trying to make eye contact. And because people are driving 25, 30, and we still have to give them a reaction time, right, at that speed to be able to see the pedestrian in order to, you know, put your brakes on. Pedestrian still has a responsibility to sit there and wait until they come to a stop before they start.
Can't you guys ticket people? Like if somebody's standing at a crosswalk, that isn't it supposed to be the assumption that any driver that somebody standing at a crosswalk wants to cross, and if they don't stop, they can be ticketed? So I've known a lot of other jurisdictions like do stings on
So that's where it can get kind of gray, because if they're super close to the crosswalk and they're doing 25, most people aren't gonna be able to stop depending on how far away they are. But if they're a pretty good distance away from that, and it would be reasonable that they should have seen the pedestrian from a distance, then yeah, that's something we probably could issue a citation for. Yeah,
But you also have pedestrians that'll walk up to the crosswalk and they turn around with their kids to show up and standing there, or they will, I mean, many times I've told, stop and, oh, you come on. Okay, and, you know, it's just like, I mean, there was such an individual thing there.
Yeah.
Hey Spencer, I just sent you an email with an attachment.
Okay.
Can we look at this option? Real quick? I don't know.
once it comes in.
Yeah.
But
All right, yeah.
just to kind of also echo too, is, you know, there's been a lot of talk too about light being in your eyes depending on the time of day for driving. One downside for any push button crossings, if you're going east or west, is during certain times of day, it doesn't matter
It's
if
still gonna be less
a
visible.
lighted flashing
It
is
still
going
gets
off.
washed out.
A lot of times it does get washed out, and I say that because crossing, the one we put in at Knightsbridge and Cedar to the school,
Mhm.
that one, I mean, that's on my way home. And so there's certain times of day that
You know,
you don't see them. So they're not as effective on an east and west
Okay.
travel lane as they are on a north and south.
So there's
Okay.
one corner at that intersection that doesn't look like it has the ADA ramp.
yes.
Is it possible to put one in so we can have a four-way crosswalk so people can choose which streets they're crossing? If it's easier to be on the closer side of 13th to Ivy versus the far side, or if they wanna, would that potentially help anything? Because Cause then you're not just forced where those,
Where these two.
where the, yeah, where the, vegetation might kind of add to the problem. We have more options.
Well, you need a crosswalk in both sides.
Put in a crosswalk over here as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Replace and potentially,
First thing is that this would, right here would need an, new ADA ramp
Yeah.
legally before we can stripe is it has to be a current up to code ADA ramp. Those are going for roughly about $10,000 right now to do an ADA ramp.
And how much is a lighted thing?
Last time I checked, I believe those are about 12 to,
Push button.
I think so. I think they're about 12,000.
Is that-
I can't
is
believe
that a
it
push
costs
button?
10 grand to put in a
But
little.
once you
chunk
cross
of
it for
cement,
stop
that's
sign,
awful.
Stop sign would require a traffic study that, we're probably not going to meet at this time because it has to have equal flow. And then also with having a four-way stop up at Elm as well as a signalized intersection at Ivy, it wouldn't even just be just at that intersection that we would have to get equal flows. We'd also have to open up the study to look at traffic flow for pretty much the whole area. So traffic study like that is also going to be expensive.
Well, I think we can
And I think
reasonably
we would-
assume there's not an equal amount of traffic.
Yeah,
crossing.
so we can assume that it
how
would.
long is crosswalk ahead?
Yeah.
Crosswalks ahead, those we could, that's not,
Would that fit the budget?
that could definitely fit the budget.
Yeah, those are,
you know,
those are pretty cheap
I really think,
in the scheme of things.
and I respect Spencer's point of view, but I really think this intersection, this crossing should have a lighted.
Well, like you said, though, the times that are of most concern, that it's gonna get washed out and be ineffective anyway, so
Well-
it kind of seems like a waste of money. What about
Well, the reason-
painting on the street, like slow or something in front of the crosswalk? No, okay, I'm just throwing out ideas, I don't work in public.
You know, the reason why,
Clearly.
the reason why I'm pushing the lighted is I think there's a certain element of respect for our elders.
Mhm.
This is a bad section here, I mean, car speed. But we have a lot of elderly people around this area
Mhm.
Mhm.
and
They can't get out and walk, or taking away from quality of life, like you should be able to go for a walk in the neighborhood.
I think they should be able to walk, they should be able to visit their more elderly. As in Brian's case, I mean, safely. I mean, I think there needs to be some exceptions and recognition, and maybe my white hair is making me more sensitive to that, but, you know, quite frankly, I don't think so. I just think, you know, this is a bad situation. We've got a lot of them around town. This is not the only one, I mean, I recognize, but in my things, I'm reaching out with a sense of empathy that this is not fair.
So to the
This
point
just
of,
isn't fair to that group of people. And we should do more.
the light might kind of get washed out with the sun setting, but there would be more awareness generally that it's there. And so I don't think there's anything we can do to completely mitigate the sun in people's eyes and places.
Right, sure.
But if we're at least drawing more attention to it, this is here. It's gonna make it a bit better.
At the same time, I recognize that putting in a recommendation for lighted, it's not gonna occur until the next
Next budget.
budget system. So that's gonna be a long-term suggestion. I think the signage can be done more immediately. And we can get that out. But anyway,
If
So
we,
I would like to recommend that we put the slow sign. That we put slow on the street. And we do my crosswalk suggestion.
I don't know if I have anyone that is, quite,
We could find an artist, yeah. With that.
A crosswalk ahead sign would probably be.
That way,
The best.
well, the crosswalk sign and the slow on the street we could do it in phases.
I think this
And I-
the street is shut.
I know. I know, but it's bringing attention to it. It's bringing attention to it in a slow, nearly effective manner. Along with the two elements.
I like your artistic taste.
Yeah, there's a name for that. I forget exactly. what it is, But it's.
But I think that would be pretty cool.
Okay, I get that idea too. Let's start.
Well,
Let's have a motion on this. Two things have come up. Lighted intersection, lighted crosswalk and signage.
Crosswalk ahead signage,
Pardon me?
specifically crosswalk ahead signage.
Crosswalk,
Crosswalk ahead.
yellow, black sign, pedestrian walking there.
So, do I have a motion?
I would move that we provide a crosswalk ahead sign, that we look into improving the crossing paint there. And after those two items, if it's deemed in the future that we need a crossing light, that we pursue that as well.
And real quick, if I can add on to that, I guess technically it isn't.
You
second
really
first,
can't.
but
Yeah, you can't talk yet.
I can't, okay, wait.
No, you can jump in. Oh, well, okay, just a second. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Now you can
Discussion.
discuss.
Okay, just to throw out as well that, the Ivy Street project is going to be concluding by the end of 25, and the current push button crossing that is there at Township will be able to be relocated at some point in time too. So,
Okay,
That's good to know.
I'd like to amend my motion to shift that crossing light at Township over to this
To
location.
request that we get it when it. when
Yeah,
it
when
comes
it's-
available.
We're first in line.
Okay. All right, so I have a
And
motion
you
that
sec-
says,
And I second that.
Okay.
second, so the motion reads that we are recommending that the township crossing light, that when it becomes available, be moved to this crossing here. In addition, that additional signage indicating that there is a crosswalk will be put up,
Both east and westbound.
both sides.
And examining the possible repainting of the crosswalk to make it more visible.
In the short term. Is that reasonable?
All righty. Any further discussion? Brian, including Brian.
No, if you look at the blinking light, crosswalk light here on Territorial. I walk that trail about every day. Whether anybody's in that crosswalk or not, and the light is. It was not functioning for a while, as you know, but I noticed traffic aware of slowing down, approaching it. Whether there's an issue of sun or sight clearance or whatever, it seems to be in people's mind more so than. You know, they're anticipating more.
and I would agree with that 100%. I think that the majority of people driving know that there is a walking path there that is constantly being used at random times, whereas for this, it's not that it's not, this crosswalk, it's not that it's not being used. I think most people aren't expecting somebody to be crossing there, which I think is the problem.
There's also an old saying, if you build it, they will come.
That's true.
So maybe if we put a light there, more people would feel willing to try to attempt to cross this thing. So I mean, I'm pushing kind of hard, am I?
So I did have one other question for the discussion. So you're saying that the one at Territorial is going to be removed at the end of 25?
No,
Township, I'm sorry, okay.
Because that is getting,
It's getting
signal
light.
It's
light.
getting a signal, so, okay. Sorry, I was conflating the two. I'm like, why would we take the one off Territorial? But
Okay.
because I said wrong street. Yep, we're good.
Any further discussion? So all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any dissent? Passed.
Good job.
Okay. thank you for coming,
Thank you.
and I appreciate your concerns, and I hope
Hopefully, it helps.
you and your wife will have a better day.
Well, she's not gonna have a better day, but I may be able to see her in a more safe fashion, so.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. for your effort.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right.
People ask me what it's like to live in Canby, and I say, great. I moved here from Chicago, and this is a great town.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Molly.
Now, who is taking minutes today?
I did it last time.
All the above.
I think that,
That's okay.
yes, you.
Well, here's my notes on the discussion. Yeah.
I just thought I'd make sure.
Because I really like going about responsibility.
Okay.
Probably just sum it up to.
Yeah.
All right.
Motion.
I think so too,
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know we need to have that in the minutes, so, okay, all right.
It was-
Okay, now,
it was moved
Penny?
By Clint and seconded by you.
Hi, Penny. We're gonna discuss your concern. You wanna give us a 1 minute review of what your concern, is, and then we'll start talking.
Well, I had 3 major concerns and 1 minor one. The first one was that people coming on Knightsbridge, turning onto Holly, don't always know that the people on Holly don't have a stop sign. So I wanted to put an extra sign on that stop sign on Knightsbridge and Holly that says cross traffic doesn't stop. The other issue was the speed of the cars traveling on Holly. Along with that, I asked if we could put a stop sign around 10th, maybe to slow people down. And then I had an issue with the high semi-truck traffic that comes from Knightsbridge on to Holly. And I'm not talking about the farm trucks that go down to Monacuco or the IFA nursery, but it's the regular semi-trucks. A lot of times they'll back up traffic when they're trying to turn onto Knightsbridge coming from Territorial, because I don't think that intersection is big enough for trucks to safely turn. And then additional speed limit signs on Holly. I hope I made my minute.
No?
Well,
Okay. All righty. So we go over the traffic data first and then open up the conversation. Everybody got analysis. Does anybody want the raw data?
Sure,
I mean, I just thought it,
I'll take it.
yeah.
Hey, Bob, when did you send the data?
Uh,
Was it?
wow.
Yeah, you sent them in a bunch, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I sent it to.
week or two.
It should have been about, well, no, it wasn't that long. It was last week,
Actually, oh, that's a week.
Sunday or Monday.
Sure. You got it.
Okay.
Let me go over it briefly. Thank you to, first of all, thank you to Spencer. He was able to discover that we had, and I didn't remember, that they had done we had a previous look at this Holly Street speed back in 2000. So at the end of the report, you'll see, I just put in some of the traffic flow back for that study. And you can see that there's been an increase in the actual flow. For example, back in 2022, the total period going southbound was 16,885. And this time around in February 2024, it was 18,313. So there's about roughly about 1,500 more cars during this period of time. So, in any case, it was, what was struck me interesting first was something different. The southbound traffic, which is traffic on Holly coming from Territorial down to the center, is a lot higher than traffic going northbound from up Holly to Territorial. I always thought in my mind of the bypass kind of traffic flow that it would be the opposite way, but it really is the opposite. And it's significantly different. The southbound in this study was 18,300 and the northbound was 15,900. So there's a substantial amount of difference between the but it is a significant flow of traffic. As you can see, roughly on a daily basis, that there is roughly 2,170 cars on going southbound, and northbound, there's 1,800 cars going northbound. On any given day, there's a lot of cars going back and forth. What was more interesting, that the 3 busiest days of the week in this on Holly is a Monday, Saturday, and a Sunday, which is kind of very different than our usual other streets, which is usually the typical week is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something during the week. But this is significant, and it was both sides are consistent. Monday, Saturday, and Sunday, both for northbound and southbound. Interestingly, just side notes. What I gathered here is there is a significant amount of speeding. And let me go over why I say that. I don't even look at the first 5 miles over the speed limit. I should, that's speeding, but starting off with 6 to 10 miles over the speed limit going southbound, there were 32% of the traffic, 5,882 cars were traveling southbound 31 to 35 miles over the speed limit. And there were 552 cars during this period of time traveling 10 miles over the speed limit. Okay, that means that on any given day, there is at least 55 cars speeding daily going southbound at 10 miles over the speed limit. 55 cars.
Wow.
Now, go up a little bit more. On a daily basis, there are 77 cars on a daily basis speeding at least 11 to 15 miles over the speed limit.
Holy cow.
Okay, and there are 6.2 vehicles on a daily basis over a 10-day period going at least 16 miles over the speed limit. And there was at least one vehicle every day over the 10 going 21 miles over the speed limit. And this is just the south now. Okay, going north, okay, there were on average, I'm gonna skip
That's right.
about 6 to 10 miles, because in this going northbound, there were 337 cars going at least 6 to 10 miles over the speed limit. And there were at least 21 of them going 10 miles over the speed limit, okay, on a daily basis. And there are 36 cars on a daily basis going 11 miles over the speed limit. And 4 cars at least were going 15 miles over the speed on a daily basis.
I see an operation on Hollies.
AJ,
I'm
gonna try to run that.
Let me continue on, let me give you guys, they were going,
There's more.
there were
There's more.
2.8 cars over the daily basis going 16 miles over the speed limit, and there was at least 1 car going 21 miles over the speed on a daily basis.
Well, that guy has a problem.
And,
The same guy. He's late for work every day. Early in the
and
morning,
between
he goes around.
51 to 58 miles, okay? This actually reflects 2 vehicles per day over a 10-day period, speeding at least 26 miles over the speed limit. 2 vehicles traveling at 57 miles and 1 at 58 miles over the speed. That was over a
Over the
10-day
speed
period,
limit.
okay? That was over a 10-day
Yeah.
period.
Hauling between
So somebody was
territorial.
going
Yes.
75 miles an hour down the road.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
It does get used.
So
Well, I've been passed.
Passed on
North
Holly?
Bridge, coming
Oh,
into town, had a guy
Passed
pass
on
me, going down, heading into town. And I'm like, I'm making a left turn on Bridge, and this could have been an ugly situation, so. And being a member of this committee, of course, I gotta set a good example, so
Yeah.
my need for speed, is under control.
So if you look at, if I then did, if you go down in the study a little bit more, I break it down by times a day, and I took just 2 days, okay? Usually I try to do 3, but there was just too many numbers. I'm getting old, trying to look at the numbers were getting more difficult. So in any case, they were pretty consistent. If you look at it, what was so starting, I didn't even do 35 miles. Because the numbers were absurd. So I started at 35, which is 10 miles over the speed limit, and 40, under 40, which is 15 miles over the speed limit. And if you look at this thing, there were 142 cars on a Monday who were driving at least 10 to 15 miles over the speed limit. And look at the clustering. This is almost hourly.
Wow.
It's
Pretty much from
absurd.
the time people get up at 7 in the morning until they get home.
I mean,
from work.
By 7 o'clock, there is averaging at least 5 to 6 cars on an hourly basis zooming up and down this road.
Can I ask a question?
Now you have to imagine trying to pull out of your driveway during this. And that's the issue that we have. We can't even get out of our driveway sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at it, this is not restricted just to a particular day. You look at Saturday, which I also did, you have the same kind of clustering and the same numbers. And if you go to northbound, the northbound was not as dense. But when you look at, they had 56 cars on a day, that day, driving at least 15 miles over the speed limit. And on a Saturday,
Where? Bridge was a little further.
it's plotted it because it's,
So before I put it up, I was going through, because for some reason I thought I had put it up on Holly before, and I did. So I didn't put it down by Knight's Bridge, which is kind of the area that was talked about, but I had information from 2 years ago, right here at 12th. And so it's picking up this area right here in between 12th and 13th. So that's the area that was,
Yeah, that's.
has to be.
so it is a great shot, dead middle, so people come, making that turn from Knight, they have ample opportunity to pick up speed both ways, and you're getting the result.
What's the speed, right?
I was,
Don't you live on 12th, Gary?
I live on 12.
and it's interesting because data doesn't lie. But, I turn on Holly a lot, coming from 10th, like Maple Street, you go to 10th and you come down to Holly. And I guess I travel in old man's time because usually it's during the day, you know, so you don't hit these. But I don't know what to say, folks.
Can I ask a couple of questions to a couple, let's see, first I'll ask Spencer. In that corner, if let's say you're coming down Holly and you want to turn on Knightsbridge, is there gonna be some pavement work, because there's like really low spots that makes it dangerous there, that's one of my questions. And then another question I'll ask for Officer Miller is, in your experience, would it be a consideration to have a three-way stop there where Knightsbridge comes into Holly, or would it make more sense to have a four-way stop at 10th and Holly in your?
So a three-way stop in terms of southbound, northbound traffic on Holly stops.
Yeah, because as you're coming Bridge to Holly, either of those people have to stop, so I was wondering, would that be a consideration to have both of them have to stop?
Is that regarding the speeding issue?
Well, just to improve the overall safety for our citizens.
Yeah, I can say that I have never gone to a crash at that intersection. But I don't see that resolving the speeding issue if that is what it was aimed at.
Would you view that as a improve the safety issue?
Could I add something
Sure.
to that? If you put a stop sign, that's one of the first things that I thought of asking for is a stop sign there. But if you put a stop sign there with all of the traffic that we have, nobody would be able to get out of their driveways along that stretch because there would be cars backed up.
And the intersect, and putting a stop sign on 10th, I need to, because that was one of the issues that was brought up, is it's not gonna fly. Because national standards require that at an intersection, you need to have somewhat comparable flows of traffic, and the traffic from 10th compared to Holly is off the charts. I mean, you know, the difference is just too great.
It is a four-way stop at 10th and Ivy though, that's kind of.
The problem with Holly is that you're getting traffic coming off I-5, people are detouring to Territorial, and it's so heavy that it would get backed up.
And we did actually have a great deal of lobbying to get that one on 10th and Ivy, and the reason it went in is because of how many crashes happened.
And unfortunately, this is not crosswalk friendly at all, because there's no.
No, and my wife and I crossed that 10th and Holly a lot. And my red jacket stands out, you know, and I boldly kind of take a half a step out there, and cars look at me like, how dare you insult us by having to make a stop? But they eventually do. But it's, you know, but also we go walking on usually a not busy time so that you can kind of get by, you know. But
Walking down Holly, because the street is so wide, it's not too bad.
yes,
And because the Knightsbridge, they have a stop sign there, they're usually pretty good at looking to see if somebody's trying to cross that intersection. But anytime you're on that side of the street and you're trying to get across Holly to go like to our house, we live on the other side, that's where we have problems with people speeding down Holly.
but to tell you the truth, my wife and I do not walk Holly. We always go Ivy, or what is it, Grant?
Yeah.
Just because.
Here's a great example of how the speed cameras would absolutely improve behavior.
Well, yeah. This is one of those streets that, you know, the poor officer, they got so many of it. You probably don't have enough people, but I'm hoping this study will help you justify doing at least a sweep, just like you did on 13, you know?
It will help me quite a bit.
Because it targets time, well, in this case, you can choose your time, you can do a day, 10 hour, you can't give out that many tickets.
It's like a challenge.
Yeah, let me see how you can really do it. But
It's gonna be really busy next time.
But as soon as he pulls over, you know, the first person, everybody slows down. But the data is that there's so much speeding going on,
Mhm.
Um,
And if I can, go ahead and finish one, if you have anything.
No,
Okay. If I can just real quick add a little bit to this is, yes, there is high speeding, yes, the volumes are much higher. But going back and looking at some of the data from 2 years ago, before 90. Told Bob this too, but you know, I drive from here at the shops out towards Nice Bridge, going out of town. And so bypass has always been talked about of taking Territorial to bypass 99. You know, especially now with the stop sign, up until 99 was under construction. Anytime leaving or just leaving the shops and going out that way, I had never followed a single vehicle from here to Knight's Bridge. Now that 99 is the way that it is, I follow 5 or 6 vehicles to go through. So a little bit of a caveat is that I think a lot of this extra speeding and volume is due to the 99.
So you believe once that's finished, it will actually.
And I think that, I don't know for a fact the speeding is going to drop down. I think that there's still, but I do think that the high increase volume is like, say, if you lived over by Bob over in the North Maple 10th area, if you were coming from Oregon City, more than likely you're turning at either Pine or Ivy. Whereas now, if you're coming from Oregon City, I would take Territorial and come in the back way to get to my house. If that was me personally. So I think that it's a lot of focus shift just due to 99 being backed up and at stop. So I'm not saying that we don't need to do anything, but I am saying is that I think a little bit of this data is inflated just due to the time that it was taken.
I don't disagree with you, except to say, at the same time, we have a whole new subdivision under there. You know, right off Holly and Locust, big subdivision that's gone in, lots of houses. And
More to come.
And in the future, there's gonna be more houses coming up along that whole corridor. So this is a problem area, and a future one.
When you said that the traffic was higher on the weekends, that's the first thing I thought was people with kids taking them places on weekends. Because, you know, why would it change otherwise?
Yeah. Don't know, I can't.
And I think that that's a good point, Bob, is that right now, it might be a symptom of 99, but it's a glimpse towards the future of once, like with the comp study that's going on, if they do build out towards the river, Holly is going to be the main thoroughfare. So what do we need to look at doing improvements
It would be,
for Holly?
is it currently an arterial or a collector? And it'll probably be upgraded.
I
think it might be it might be a collector.
I don't see it's on a CT. Holly has not appeared on any of the capital improvement plans.
It has not, and
Cause it's a major project, because.
it would be a major project.
It would have to put in sidewalks at least on one side of the road. And that's gonna take a lot of talking.
That is gonna take a lot. I mean, if you look at it, how long has it taken? And we still haven't even started it yet for 10th Street,
Yeah,
you know, getting sidewalks on 10th.
yeah,
And I think that that is one of the other issues is it's hard for us to go through and strike any crosswalks on Holly because there's very few places that actually have sidewalks with ADA crossings. So legally, we can't really strike those. But getting a sidewalk improvement project up through there, that's a big capital.
So,
okay, we've talked,
bring this back, what's her 3 complaints again?
well, she's got
the
several,
Cross traffic
Sorry.
doesn't stop sign on, from KBR to Holly, speed of traffic on Holly, potential stop sign at 10, and then the semi-traffic. Nice bridge and Holly.
So
Well, I
it sounds
think-
like we can't address the 2 stop sign issues, or what we kind of did in discussion.
well,
Because
I'm sorry, well, the first one off the, I'm gonna go down, I've got 5 things listed. I think I'd like to give you what we've talked about. One, there was I believe Penny, you jump in, tell me if I'm wrong. She was requesting that a sign be put up on Knight Bridge and Holly, which says that which no traffic does not stop on Holly.
If you could put up a cross traffic doesn't stop on
Yes.
Knightsbridge, that way it alerts people that there's no stop signs on Holly.
Yeah, and we have that at several places, and that's a viable alternative.
Yeah, I think that's
Circle it out.
Yeah.
Goes under the stop sign, right?
And then she was talking about speeding on Holly, and the traffic says that that's real. Stop at Kent, and I don't think it's gonna happen, I guess, that,
So that's a no.
the truck route. Now, Penny, I thought you talked about trucks that are coming down Holly, trying to turn onto Knight Bridge, that the intersection is not wide enough for them to make that turn. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and they also come the other way. They also come like from I-5 and turn onto Holly. So it's truck traffic both ways. But my main concern would be when a truck is trying to turn there, especially that house, that white house, sometimes has a car parked out there. And if that's the case, then they can't get through at all. So this is not, I don't think this is a good intersection for semi trucks. And I think it's pretty dangerous. Sometimes they speed around that corner, they see houses, and then they back up and try to go back the other way, which is very dangerous. And like I had said in the last meeting, our car got hit pretty good just sitting in front of our house, and that's 2 houses away from this intersection. So I know I used to work at the IFA nursery, and when we had trucks come in, I used to direct them to Barlow, to 99, to Territorial. And that was a truck route at that time, and I don't know if that's changed. But I don't think this should be a truck route, especially now that we're having all the houses being built down there. We have more traffic as it is. And I don't, this is not like 99. It's a side street. There's people walking on the street. There's traffic on the street. And I don't think this should be a truck route.
So what was the truck route again?
Truck route,
Uh,
bridge from
Yeah.
the bridge. I think the only way that there could be any enforcement on the trucks on Knightsbridge that are going eastbound would be the county because of the bridge. So if they're overweight going over that bridge, that would be the only option. As far as our ability to enforce anything truck related, as far as the truck route goes, that is a posted truck route.
The posted truck route is where? It's 99, it comes up Knight Bridge.
It's restricted, the weight's restricted on the bridge. So
Yeah.
it doesn't stop anybody.
Mhm.
The commercial trucks are still coming up through there. And like you said, the county, they don't really have to mark well for traffic. People that don't know the area, they come down and
Kenny, you should know that we've already made recommendations to the county, and they're anticipating, looking at trying to put signage coming down Art Road from, Fur Point, trying to direct the trucks down Barlow and to 99. So
okay.
trying our best to encourage the county to direct most traffic down that way. But it's been a slow process of them getting the signage up and doing something about it. But presently, if you look at the truck route, does indicate that going up Holly is a truck route. And we can't do anything about that. That's
Do you know when that changed?
This was adopted in 10.
2010?
2010. It's old and it is being looked at presently. But I'm not too sure.
Towards TSP.
Yeah. But I do think that we can address at least we should really look at the intersection as far as turning radiuses and whether there should be yellow sun paint
Yeah, to prohibit any parking.
to make,
To help alleviate some of those turns.
I mean, I think we need to do that, right? I mean, what do you guys think? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah.
at least there should be people who own houses along that may not like that. But I mean, for the safety of general safety, there should be maybe, some restrictions to the radius.
Can we make it more than the 30 feet that we normally do because it's trucks? I mean, the truck itself is that long, so it seems like it.
I'll have to look in to see what,
It can be
kind of
mitigated
radius.
circumstances.
Yeah, there can be, but we can look to see if, like with the turning radius of the trucks, if the truck can't make the corner, then we could figure out some way of extending.
So you guys have some big trucks.
We do, and I think it kind of goes more towards the quality of the truck.
Well, that matters.
That was a nice way to put that. I was waiting for you to say that.
They only have one lane, make that turn, and they're going right over the sidewalk, all like, that's, that's our situation now. Look how the truck route ends at Knightsbridge.
So this is, yes, but this is what is inside the city limits.
Yeah, you're right.
So anything outside the city limits, we're not. putting that in.
So what's supposed to happen in these areas where the truck route's dead end?
Well, it's the city, but
Those
it's,
are usually-
that's the city's,
This is an industrial park right through here.
Industrial park.
And same thing with down there,
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
then we have our friend Dan Ewer, who lives on Ash. The trucks that go over the bridge will turn right on Ash and they're lost.
That's curious.
Yeah, we've done a lot we can, but
Bob, should we schedule a
Yes.
field trip to that
well,
location?
well, we have several things here, okay? Now, there's also the last thing was a request for additional speed signage. And, that's something that is possible. I don't know, I didn't have a chance to look at how many speed signs there are on Holly going both ways. And maybe that's something we can,
I think there's one.
I think there might be two, there's one, because I take Holly to take my son to preschool at the corner of, Territorial and Holly, and so one right before the Knightsbridge triangle. And then I think there's another one, so it's between like 10.
oh, Vinny,
Yeah,
there actually are out there.
not offhand. I've seen the one, I think somebody mentioned there's one between like Fourth,
Yeah, so.
Can we,
somewhere in there by the church, but I
I can go home.
I haven't really seen any, like we go out Holly to Territorial a lot and then come back and I haven't seen,
Yeah.
that I can recall.
discussion for till next month. In the meantime, Spencer can go into his educated look to see if they just,
I'll take an inventory of the.
and you
speed
know,
signs
you know
and
whether
figure out
you,
where-
and if you think you should add some more, please go ahead.
Yep.
But we'll bring that issue back next month,
Okay,
for review of the signage. But I hear two things that have been talked about that we can move on, if that's okay with you folks, and then somebody can make a motion. One is, that, sign at the
Does not stop.
cross traffic doesn't stop. That can go up.
I do a motion for that.
Yes.
I motion that for the cross traffic doesn't stop.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give you one more, and you can
Oh,
add that
which is
one.
separate.
And the
It's
other
fine,
one's
it's
yellow.
separate.
Oh, two separate, okay. We can just,
Might have
all
to
those in
revote.
favor, there's a motion by Jackie and second by Clint. That we have this no cross traffic sign put up. All those discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, second issue disapproved was yellow, painting yellow on the curves to re-examine the turn radiuses of the trucks so that at Knightsbridge and Holly, this whole triangle, or not triangle, but the whole square, that trucks will have a little safer turn there and cars don't get wrecked. Is there a motion for that?
I'll second.
I was just gonna say, I'd like to move that Public Works examine this intersection and give them the authority to apply yellow paint to prevent parking where they deem appropriate.
Okay,
I can second that motion.
okay. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the last thing is that we table the discussion for till next month about this speed limit signs, increasing that on North Holly. In the meantime, Spencer will go and all of us should go up there, which I will do, and Tracy will too as she's driving home. Take an inventory of where the signs are and how many signs, and we can make a recommendation for increased signage along that area. The two other things that are, I'm sure, going to happen, in addition, is I'm sure Officer Miller will take into account the traffic study that was done. And if he's low on tickets 1 month, he knows. I don't think he's, his record showing he's never low on tickets. He's always got a super amount of tickets. We're giving out tickets in this city like crazy. But obviously that isn't enough. The second is, Penny, I would like to recommend that as a citizen, you can go online at the Canby Police Department's website and request their speed wagon.
I put that request in on February 14th.
Fantastic, congratulations. That calls for an assertive citizen, and I give you credit. Atta girl. Okay. Sorry we can't give you everything, Penny, but at least I feel like we're starting to try to address the issue.
Yeah, and you're aware of it because like you said, as they build more houses, it's going to get worse. You know, and we really love Canby. We moved out here from Illinois in 1998. And we were 30 miles west of Chicago. And this was the place we wanted to raise our kids, which we did. And now my grandkids are growing up in Canby. And we really love it. You know, we moved here. It was a small town. It's getting bigger, which, you know, you can't change that. But at least if you can make it safer, like when we walk up to 4th of July at the park, or when I take my kids to the park, you know, the speed of the drivers on Holly just, you know, it doesn't make sense for me to go around to Ivy, especially with a little one, and try to get over to the park. You know, we go up straight up Holly. Usually it's pretty good, but the speed of the drivers just gets kind of scary sometimes.
Yes. Well, my pitch is, which was continued, there's a need, and Eric, bless his heart, is following the legislature to allow someday the city to have the opportunity, if they choose to or not, to have speed cameras put in where they don't have to be monitored by a police officer. If that gets posted, then that would give us another tool to assist the police officers when they can't be everywhere at once.
That would be great.
So anyway, thank you very much. We'll come back to your issue next month.
Okay, I appreciate all your help on this.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Penny?
Welcome.
Okay, moving on, I'm gonna jump to one thing that we need to do something about, scheduling of election of some commission officers. My open house on my house will be April 6th. And, don't know how long that will take to sell it, but if you guys know a person who's interested in a house there.
Sure, there's a lot.
But in any case, so I think we need to consider, at least electing a new chairperson. To take over so that there'd be some continuity. Doesn't have to be right away, folks. I can do it next month, but I'm getting short term here. So I need to kind of encourage somebody to at least take over the chairperson. Is there anyone who is currently interested?
I enjoy being the chairperson, but I think we've got very capable members and so I would prefer to have one of the other capable members.
You felt me looking at him.
Eric?
Greg?
Okay,
I don't mind if everyone respects me and has no problems. I'll work with everyone.
I definitely respect you. My only minor concern that I have is like, there had been a stretch of time where you weren't able to join the meetings regularly.
Correct.
So has that
I've been
conflict
to,
been addressed?
I do have periodical training, because I'm involved with search and rescue. So I have some state training every once in a while. It seems to be in a low period right now for the next 6 months. So I can at least make that commitment, no problem. And worst case scenario is I can always do the business. And make myself available if I have to.
Vice chair could run the meeting.
I mean, I will, if the vice chair, if that works out, then I can always, take the responsibilities and hand it over. I'll do the work, just you can present.
And
I have no problem with that.
for my position, the reason I don't want to be chairperson right now is that my husband and also my work situation, I'm too busy to be able to lead the whole thing. I figure when I retire, which is way down the road, then I have more availability. But right now, I feel like chairperson, I can help out if there is a scenario. I know with Bob, he was pretty much here all the time and I had to run it one time, I think. But I am fine with being able to be there if there's something that comes up.
And I was just gonna say, Bob, you've been a tremendous chairperson and leader and you're retired, isn't that correct?
yes.
The only reason I say that is, a lot of us are working and don't have the time to devote that you've certainly done. So you've got a beautiful format here. I mean, really what the duties of the chairperson are. Can you describe those so Eric maybe have a better understanding?
Yes, and I will gladly provide you my,
Do I get that book?
you can get a book, I'll send you the form, I have a copy format that I always go and send to Maya and she actually puts it in this format. So I give her the data and then she puts it in and we have a good working relationship. She's very prompt and easy to work with. And then I have another sheet of all the email stuff that you guys get. And I just cut and paste. So there's some, continuity to the message that goes out and the same goes with responding to public. I put a high emphasis on, the people who come to, the citizens that come here. I put a high priority on serving them. So they get a lot of emails, they get a copy of the agenda, they got a copy of all the reminders, they get, so you have to have that, well, that's me, that doesn't mean that you're gonna do that, but I mean, I would encourage that kind of format so that they they are who we serve. So they should be given greatest courtesy as much as possible. So I have a volunteer. Anybody else?
I just have a question for Tracy, Council President Edgley. Bob's term, well, my term ends in June. Bob's, I think, has a couple more years to go. I just wondered, is it possible that he and I could swap terms so he could finish my term and I could finish his term, and then that way,
Possibly,
or is that necessary?
well, we will have to get a new member.
Okay.
And that would fill his spot, but, what did we, I guess it doesn't really matter, any time to be up.
Well,
I mean, all you can do is,
I've been doing this a long time. I'm certainly not ready to give it up now, but, I want us to get those speed cameras and, more digital signs and before I hang up my cleats.
so, I don't know, we might be able to, that's a my question, we might be able to just slide you into that spot for 2 more years, but, I mean, if you wanna just re-up, then we find somebody.
Yeah,
It's kind of 6 months, doesn't it?
and we gotta get those one-way streets by Jennifer's house.
Maybe just.
Okay. We're coming up to why don't we,
We gotta do second.
I have somebody who has volunteered for the, is there a motion to?
It needs to be a motion.
So can I ask other quick questions?
Yeah.
So, in some of our committees, you're allowed to have people who do not currently reside in Canby on the boards, like the library board and whatnot. What are the rules for the traffic safety committee?
When
Does
they're-
Bob have the option of continuing to participate, not in the chair capacity, but just if he wanted to remain, that should be an option.
And where are you moving to?
I'm going to Beaverton.
No,
No, too
it's
far
too
away.
far away. If,
Yeah.
anytime it's not in the city limits, it's still in the UGB.
Gotcha.
But, we could maybe ask him to be our data analyst for this traffic studies.
Or
He does such a good job.
Somebody consultant.
I could also visit for a time, and depending on my wife's needs.
I think we're trying to hold on.
But no, we can't.
It's like,
And could.
let's focus on.
I make a motion that we have Eric become our president.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But
As
Bob,
effective when?
How long are you? gonna
Effective
hold on?
upon his retirement from.
I can chair this for 1 more month, okay? So I'll go
Maybe
through
take
April,
him under your wing and.
and that's what we're gonna do, and we'll walk through it, and I'll give you copies of all the little easy tricks that I do and things like that. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Party
Thank
with
you very
Bob
much.
Next month.
No, I don't know, party.
But the only thing I ask is that we give Bob a round of applause.
I in turn want to give you guys a round of applause because you have tolerated me. And thank you very much. I prefer to kind of be the soldier that just disappears. That's just my stuff. Anyway, okay, thank you. Now, some of the things that we've got to get done, I think right away is the ordinance. The continued discussion about a draft of city ordinance for criteria lowering the speed limit at 20 miles an hour. I sent out something for discussion, and so far we have several criteria that one was, it says, we need exceptions to the rule with clear criteria for lowering the speed in a neighborhood. One was mountable curves. The second was road width. Third was proximity to schools and parks. Fourth was density. And fifth was the percentage of percentage of homeowners in the area, HOR, that will be affected surrounding area, truck traffic and so forth. So that would be a catch-all. And then the last criteria was that, the percentage, there needs to be a percentage of, people in favor of the actual,
People of the area that.
people of the area affected, like the HOA. At one point I put down, I put 75%, just to trigger conversation. So that's where we are at right now, with that discussion point. And we, I want to make sure we make some progress, either drop the topic or do something with the topic,
Would this, with these criteria, make that little neighborhood speed on the post office eligible then for that speed
Well-
reduction?
They have.
It would have to go to the city. And the city would have to actually adopt this.
Yeah, we were meant to clarify, are we saying that all of these have to be met or a certain number?
Yes, I say you should figure out how many of this criteria.
Because you don't want every neighborhood to request.
And I think-
Activities of daily driving.
I think when we were coming up with all of these were specific to that neighborhood, and so then I don't know if there was anything else that we needed to include or exclude to make sure that if it was viable in another neighborhood or another street in particular.
That last one was Spencer, you talked about, because there's a certain type of neighborhood that it has to be like,
I believe the ORS that, AJ looked up last time, was it, you can only lower it on local residential streets. It can't be for anything that is a collector or arterial or anything
okay,
like that.
so it wouldn't be anything that would apply to something near Territorial or Holly or 13th Street or anything like that. It would have to be a,
A small neighborhood street.
okay.
And I think that took care of the 20,000 foot level. And then the surrounding neighborhood, considerations took care of like the 10,000 foot level. So in like other neighborhoods, we wanted, I think, if I remember right, the concerns were that we based those on the individual area. And then we were concerned about it affecting other areas requesting the same thing. So then that's why we put the 20,000 foot view and the 10,000 foot view.
So
Yeah.
number 6, the considerations of an effect on the surrounding neighborhood or area, like we'd have to define what those considerations
Yes.
are. And this community agreement, like a 75% or whatever amount of affected community, we have to define what is an affected community? What is the radius around that? And then what's a process for like confirming that we actually have that criteria met?
The affected community would be the people that reside within the lowered speed limit, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
within the Lord's.
so that's it, I tend to think there are some things that should be standard in every one of it. It isn't like 3 out of 5 or something. The ones that jump at me that should apply to every circumstances are like number 7, right? Has to be,
The local street.
lower. Consideration of affecting surrounding area, that should always be the case, right? Impact. Housing density, I tend to think that should be we don't want just 5 houses start requests for little people pockets. Oh, we want this for our little 5 houses. Well, I'm sorry, this is a big change.
I think the housing density was more so what is it zoned?
Yeah,
Is it zoned
zone
regular
R2.
R1 or 2 or?
Yeah, and so we're looking at least the first blush of this criteria. I think we need to be strict. And then it can come down, we're looking at real problem areas, so you should have density, you should have proximity to, schools and parks and things like that, which makes it more problematic. Small work with, okay, maybe You know,
The mountable curves to me is very important.
yeah, the
And there
the
aren't very-
multiple curves is
There aren't
the
very
only
many
one that
neighborhoods
is,
with them,
No, there's not.
and I would hope that our planning commission would quit approving them.
yeah, so I think that really can even be crossed
I
off,
do.
you know, what I mean, you know. I would remove down as a criteria, just to reduce confusion.
Which would you
I'm
remove?
sorry,
Sorry.
did you say,
The multiple curves, because you're right, that's not something that we,
No, I think it should be on
She
the criteria,
wants-
because
yeah,
it would limit the number of people that could.
Just what we're wanting to make sure that we're not doing is, the new subdivision, Don's Farms that just went in. Yes, it's a new subdivision, but we gotta, I think for police's sake and for everybody else's sake, just trying to keep uniformity across traveling on roads is just because that neighborhood wants to take it to 25, it's not justifiable to actually make it 20.
But a subdivision like that, that's gonna be R1 or R15.
Correct.
At a
So
minimum.
what is special about this neighborhood, why we would allow them to lower the speed? It's not just to open this up to where other people can just make sure that they meet the criteria and then be able.
I think mountable curves is special to this, and it's right by, I mean, that little ballpark, there's mountable curve right up to the basketball.
It's too easy to go up.
Yeah.
and
so
down.
what I hear is all 7 criteria are approved.
but now just needed a little quirk.
Yeah, because you gotta be able to quantify these things and
Yeah.
Brianna can probably chime in too, is considerations of effects of the surrounding neighborhood areas.
It's pretty vague.
That's very vague. I don't know how you quantify
And a
that
community.
in a planning review, or how does that? It sounds good, but what are you actually saying?
So
Right.
the perception on that is that it doesn't create another North Hall. Right. That's an example of that.
It shouldn't the main thing is that it shouldn't back up traffic too much. The traffic flow will continue. Like, if you were to put that in
Well, it's
around, say,
maybe that just gets rewritten, number
Yeah.
6, instead of considerations of effect on surrounding neighborhoods, is that the reduction in speed will not impact traffic flow.
Or push
Negatively
traffic,
impact-
push traffic from one street over to another street.
Right, and then that's the other things unique about this neighborhood is there's only 2 entrances into it, and all of this affected speed limit lowering only really affects that neighborhood alone.
That HOA.
yeah,
Right,
And the reason.
it's a really unique neighborhood.
Safety of the citizens.
right. And 75%, I don't know if that, somebody said that there should be consensus.
Well, it could be as simple as, I mean, just an overwhelming, well, you're right. I was just gonna say an example of that would be as simple as 51 over and 49.
But how do you
How
define
do
the
you,
area?
that's exactly what came in the next was,
Yeah, we had that bizarre thing on Birch, when you go 51 or 49, about the speed bumps, speed humps.
Yes.
So that's why I put 75, I put 75 because you wanted to have clear
Okay, we don't want one person.
majority, right?
Maybe because they live in the neighborhood that has an HOA and the HOA represents them.
right,
Maybe just a majority vote of the HOA and approval of the HOA coming to you saying, this neighborhood wants it. So I would just say, let the HOA find out the percentage.
And that's.
and if they don't,
Yeah,
And
let
if they
them
don't-
vote on it as, at the HOA level and then. Correct.
So I think the kind of discussion comes down to, are we only trying to write something to address Darcy Estates? Or are we trying to write something that gives flexibility for other similar areas, which there are very few? But if there is another area that we would say, maybe it would make sense to reduce it. So like, if our scope is just get something for Darcy Estates, we can just pick a couple of these real quick that are specific to them, including that mountable curve, and it's done and over with. If we want to make a suggestion for other situations that might possibly meet all of these criteria and apply to consider in the future, that's where the larger conversation needs to happen about all of these. Because I think that's the only reason we cast the net this wide, is because we were saying, should we look at this for other things? So,
And we were trying to prevent other things.
well, if we're trying to present other things, we can do that pretty easily, because if you're, where I was going with some of this is like, there's not an HOA everywhere. There are lots of neighborhoods that don't have HOAs. People like myself
I know.
actively search out places that don't have HOAs.
Exactly, right.
I'm not gonna pay an extra $500 a month for someone else to do whatever. So if we are talking about a wider net, other situations other than Darcy Estates, then that's where we have to be more specific on that community agreement piece.
And I
Or
think that's what it
effect.
was, is that we were also dealing with neighborhoods that were going to try to ask for this, that did not have HOAs. That instead of 5 people coming up and, what was that example? Baker?
Oh, you're talking
So
about
housing
Bert?
density would take care of almost
Like about
everything.
Bert?
There's very few areas that
The
are.
one guy was. in the
Yeah,
power, right?
oh yeah, the
He was
speed
put
bumps.
the power to like.
So one power, well, yeah,
I think
one
he
person asked for it and then he moved.
Yes.
We were trying to prevent that.
That was also very clearly in an R1 zone.
Well,
You know, like, those are
And-
individual houses.
Real quick, Tracy, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This group isn't able to write this, approve it, and then that's what happens.
Correct.
We're
This
making a
group-
recommendation.
We
We're
make-
making,
You need to make the recommendations, pen it, and then take it to
In the city.
council. So
Right, and then.
council will take it to
Council-
planning probably, would.
Well, yeah, they'll write an ordinance and then it has to go before council for approval.
And so,
And Brianna can probably help with drafting the criteria language.
Bianca, do you have any comment about this whole discussion, or
Yes,
or are you trying to avoid it?
No, I'm wondering who, like, is this going to be an application process? Who would be applying for it? Who's processing it? This doesn't seem like a planning land use application to me. This seems like something that might go straight to city council, that might, like, we don't look at speed limits in planning and land use, so I don't think we would be reviewing this.
Well,
And that's a good point, Brenda. I didn't even think about how does somebody even come in and apply or ask for this to happen. Other than, I would agree that I don't know that this is a planning thing. I think this is probably more of a public works thing, but what is the mechanism? I mean, what's keeping John Smith from coming down to Public Works and asking,
Cause you know,
hey, we meet this requirement, can it happen?
South of 13th, we're missing like one.
Just come to the traffic safety commission.
Yeah, I think that is probably.
I mean,
That's how it started. That's what we were trying to use.
but like
this as.
13th wouldn't have the densities, because it's gonna be R1, and then it wouldn't have a smaller road width because it's a standard.
But I don't need to meet all.
You don't have multiple curves.
Well, how many do you have to meet?
Yeah, do you have to meet all of them or some of them?
Well, that's why I was advocating,
That's
it should be
for
all of them, because all of
I'm
them,
being
I mean, or whatever, then.
But that's what we need.
I mean, if they had all of them, I mean, you can just cut half of them off, because by the time you've included a mountable curb and the smaller road with proximity, density, like, you've really narrowed it down to like less than 1% of Canby right there.
We're doing this for Darcy's, but like you said, if ever there was a person who comes to we'll start that whole process over again. I mean, if there was a person who wants to advocate for their community and it is so impressive,
Okay, well,
this commission would start looking at, is there a real argument for making an exception,
this doesn't even have to be a public document. This can just be an internal document that you guys use. And then you need to decide how many of them, how many boxes have to be checked. And each person who wants this to happen in the neighborhood would have to come before you, plead their case. You decide how many boxes are checked and then decide if you're gonna do that neighborhood. It doesn't have to be a process. It can be a traffic safety commission process.
Well, it does still have to go by ordinance to council.
Yes,
Section itself has to go.
yeah, I mean, they would have to come before us either way. And so ultimately, council will have the approval or denial of that neighborhood.
But we would use this.
But
as
this
screening
wouldn't have to be
criteria.
an application process, it would just be the citizen coming before you, pleading their case, and then you decide how many of these boxes check, and then you make the recommendation or you don't. It doesn't have to be an application form.
Well, it kind of would be nice to be an application form, because in that way, the person that's requesting can take it.
If you make it an
And-
application form, it makes it seem more readily available.
But it also puts the work on them that if they want to ask for it, they come in and say, okay, we meet these before they submit it.
No, they just submit it and then the city resources have to figure out if it meets it or not, because they'll
You're-
give them something official.
You guys are the ones who would figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but if the person then came back to us and said, here's the slip, then we would sit down and just say, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. That's where we have to determine your,
And where
how
does
many
this slip
boxes.
live? Where do people go to get this slip? You want it on the website? I think it's just like, you know.
Have we-
makes it very
have we-
efficient.
Okay,
how did
Makes it
this
seem
one get
like,
triggered?
it seems like, well, they just came and put
This
this.
was Darcy's case.
And it was, yeah, I don't know if you were even on the Zoom at that point,
Yeah.
but
Well, I was.
the neighborhood came, the
Right.
HOA came on a couple of different occasions.
Yep.
And pled their case, and
Right.
this was the
Result
solution
of
that, this is the solution you guys came up with.
So this is
I
what
think it was
we're gonna,
Clint that brought
so,
that.
so this is what we're gonna do every time forward?
Potentially. If someone comes forward and asks for that special exception to be able to take a neighborhood
And
street
to be fair, Clint.
down
was
5 miles an hour, which is what they're requesting, it's 25 miles an hour. They meet all this criteria and they're asking to reduce it by 5, which is special exceptions can be done. That's what they're asking for, and we're reviewing it, and we were trying to come up with criteria that would apply both to them, and potentially if someone else came and said they wanted to do something similar, that we can run that against.
So we're gonna do this every time.
Well, I don't know how many requests we're gonna get, but yeah.
If
The
we
intention, I
get one
understood,
or 50.
the intention I understood was to create this criteria to keep the scope of requests narrow.
Correct.
So we just compare it to this.
And also just for, actual metrics
Yes, we have a
Two.
baseline.
for staff to actually be able to go
Yeah.
through and know, that it's not just, hey, this neighborhood has this, this, and this. Do we qualify? Well, we need definitive, actual criteria.
right.
Well, and these things and the criteria would be in the whereases of the ordinance as well.
I mean, you can always make exceptions to a criteria, but these criteria really narrow down why we thought
Yeah.
Darcy Estate needed an exception. There's high density, there's lots of kids, it's got parks, it's got, mitigating circumstance that's worrisome. And we should be using that as a criteria for,
Well, and it'll be memorialized in the whereases of the ordinance. You wouldn't have to
Yeah.
have a document that says Traffic Safety Commission's criteria for lowering the speed limit. You wouldn't have to have that, wouldn't even have to exist. Because these criteria would be memorialized in the ordinance. You'd be like, whereas the neighborhood has multiple curves that increase, danger zones for children. Whereas the smaller roadway makes greater congestion in this area. That's how you would memorialize it, and you would just go back and refer to that ordinance forevermore. Go, well, this is why we did it. Does this neighborhood match why we did it before?
That's all I was trying
That's
to
all you gotta do.
Okay.
so do you guys wanna put off this, making a decision and waiting next month? Or are you comfortable with this?
make a motion to bring this to city council and so.
I don't think it's ready as it is.
Okay,
Like, we'd have to define what a smaller
So
road
table it
is,
till
what
next month.
proximity
I think
is.
you guys are close, so you could probably make a decision on this next month.
next month, it'll be scheduled, so let's, please send me any of your thoughts, okay? All right, so we can kind of refine this several times and get it down for next month.
This is the baseline.
Yes,
Now we're just looking to tweak with.
all righty,
Yeah, make sure that everything is good. Essentially,
So like,
drafting a law to go to,
right, so like AJ did, he defined number 7, you were, yeah, and then you did number 7. Or no,
it was just,
so we
What
are
are-
the baselines.
and so like for number 2, what is a smaller road? what constitutes a narrow road?
Yeah, like what's the standard now?
What's the standard?
Like the standard now is like 28 or something?
Well, it depends on road widths for parking and everything else, so.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, there's
if-
parking on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
So.
Okay,
Never mind, go ahead.
Officer Miller, you have any comments about this?
No,
Okay. Okay, so next month, please send comments to me so I can get it. I just want to quickly, no time's up. I have this, I think I've sent it to you guys. This is Bob's version of Traffic Safety Commission issues being tracked. Okay, and I'm just gonna read through them and anybody wants to say anything quickly. Major projects, Highway 99, it's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening. It's happening
South,
to us.
South Ivy project, it is
Bid opening is Thursday.
cool. So we know that by 2025,
Well, the light,
hopefully that project's gonna be done. Night bridge upgrade and resulting closure. New target is to summer 2025.
I believe it was, oh, did you?
I thought
I
that
thought it
was
was
a
this year.
discussion, right?
I thought it was this July.
I remember, the last I saw was that it was, like late summer, early fall of this year.
Just as 99 was getting over and not.
Yes, that's, but I remember you had asked that at the council meeting,
Alright.
Jerry was gonna get back to you, and
Okay.
I never heard from him.
Okay, well, I'll double check with Jerry, but I thought it was targeted for summer 2025 because it's gonna start the process. And then in summer 2024, but it goes out to bid, it
That-
goes out da da
that
da
could be
da 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 da. But any case, it should be after the Highway 99 is done this time.
Should
around. We see. CIP projects. 10th Street, North 10th Street, it's still there and it's being worked on, right?
We're working on getting the last of the right of way acquisitions. I believe all the
That's your
engineering
sidewalks,
design,
right?
all the engineering and design is tentatively done once we can acquire all of the right.
North Pine alignment,
There's been a lot of discussion on the engineering of how that's gonna go. I think they've got 2 or 3 different, ideas for it. It's moving forward, it is.
Walnut Street exit,
Also
the
moving forward.
mysterious Walnut Street exit someday. North Maple territorial.
From territorial down to 14 or from territorial up towards.
I'm
It's
pushing,
country club.
I'm pushing country club side
Okay,
and it's on the
It is.
CIP
it is on the CIP.
and that neat, you know,
It's on the CIP.
It's on the CIP as far as.
yeah.
It's on Scott, okay.
County issues. South Ivy speed limit to the river.
Well, those are.
They still haven't approved giving us the right to
No,
change that is a county road.
that is a county road.
And we've been asking for them to give us authority so that we can implement a lower speed limit.
Because we would have the blessing from the police department.
Do we
You know-
know if anyone's followed up with them recently on that?
They will, I don't know why the heck they're waiting, but
The
it's just,
county can be hard to get a hold of sometimes.
Are they waiting until the Ivy project's done?
They might be,
then the Ivy 13th Street intersection signal.
Oh my God, what's happening?
unfortunately, I still don't have any.
Let's talk to them, but I can't remember where the status is. I think there's something, I think they're waiting on all that Ivy intersection stuff. I think they're gonna not address it until the township and Ivy project is done.
Yeah, and there's, I think there's still some movement for, development possibly happening there, that vacant lot.
On 13th.
On 13th and Ivy,
The
so I
top
think-
corner.
I think until
Memory care.
that gets 100% decided, I don't know if anyone's really wanting to do anything with the light.
Brianna can confirm it, but I'm pretty sure that got approved. the development?
It did get approved, but there was a changeover in the project management. So I think they're still working on engineering on that one.
Land use got approved, but I don't think anything else. did.
But at the same time, there is no way that any development in that square is gonna affect the need for dedicated turn lanes.
It's not gonna reduce the need, that's for sure.
And it is, it is a tragedy that the county has not moved on that, because all it does is send traffic through our
Traffic meeting for the kid. Propagate.
neighborhood. Anyway, okay, city project task force, according that the ordinance that we're working on, following recommendations, curve sign for the north night made and painted yellow curbing, the sign has gone up, the curve, which just has to,
Waiting for the,
and
need painting
crosswalk on North Ivy and Fourth,
Mhm.
crosswalk on South Township and South Pine.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
fire department.
yeah, the fire department wanted that one.
Okay, yellow curb on North Elm and Second Avenue, all four corners.
All
Second, oh, yes, yep, where we went and met over there, yep.
This is.
Yellow on
Yeah.
North Fourth and North Knox intersection.
Oh, those are on the list.
Okay, and then speed cameras and social media. So my little keeping track of things, you know, I'll pass this on to the chairperson. All right. Okay, moving on. Okay, city reports.
I'll start, I guess. Just want to pull those up here. I forgot to scan in the crash forms, but I will do that when I get back to the PD today. I was gone for a month and a half, so citations were down.
Maybe that's why I was.
It's like, he's going, do it. We're still getting a consistent amount of DUI arrests. I think there was 10 for each month. 10 or 9 or something, yeah, 10 each month. In January, there was 10 crashes. There were, I don't think so my records person pulled the data on the crashes, and I think she was leaving out all of the ones that happen in parking lots that she could see. So we're primarily looking for the ones that are happening on the roads. A lot of them in the construction zone, 99 Locust, 99 Elm. Other one on Southeast First Avenue, 99. And then February had 9, so they're still
A lot of hit
pretty
and runs.
consistent.
What was that then? Parking lot one?
Those are gonna be parking lot
Yeah.
ones. Most of the hit and runs. There was a couple in, that would have been January that were hit and runs. I think there was a couple at,
Yeah.
one at Elm and 13th. That
How
was not a parking
severe?
lot.
What level of severity do we, it's something that a hit and run? Just
Any damage, even if it's just a scratch,
Yeah.
and they don't exchange information, that's a hit and run. Yeah.
Mm.
I met with K&E Excavating and ODOT yesterday morning. It sounds like sometime next week, they're going to close down the Elm Street intersection, so you cannot turn either way off of Elm Street from 99. So you can't make a left or right turn, and the same with Grant, so they're gonna do both of those at the same time simultaneously.
Well, Grant's like that now, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they're gonna have both of them shut down, so the issue they're trying to work out right now is where they're gonna send the trucks.
Oh,
Because the
geez.
truck route is Elm,
Oh,
they need to try to find a way to get semi trucks into Les Schwab for deliveries. So the talk is to send them down Bird Parkway to 13th to Ivy.
Sorry,
Um,
sorry, Jackie.
So they're going over, yeah, I don't know how long it's supposed to take.
It's usually a week or two.
It's kind of unpredictable because they keep finding different stuff under the road they're not expecting.
Oh, jeez.
So,
Great. Yeah, like a gas leak or something.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, they
yeah.
move kind of quick. I mean, considering how much down they the depth they go to and they do it, I mean, they,
Okay.
but I can see why cars are just, I'm avoiding 99 like
I
crazy.
know, I used to turn it a lot right now.
And I can say that the excavating company is doing a really good job at making sure that they're doing it right the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they're kind of taking their time a little bit, because there are some things that they're needing to double check, I guess, and just make sure that they don't have to go back and redo stuff later on.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, it's inconvenient now, but I'd rather have them do it now than to dig up the road again later.
yeah, and
By the time they go to pave that road, man, that little far right lane,
Oh,
The northbound lane, it's the worst.
Yeah.
yeah,
the northbound lane, that is,
obstacle
It's gonna
course.
slow
Yes,
a car in a
man.
minute.
you gotta take your car.
Honest officer, I'm not drunk, I'm just trying to find the hole.
Thank you,
Dodging potholes.
thank you for
that's
checking
when
on
the
us.
sober drivers swerve around and the drunk drivers go straight.
Yeah.
I've been going straight over my truck, so.
Any questions for even at your 200 something tickets in this city? That's a lot of tickets, you know?
How many tickets are?
And that doesn't even
residents and how
touch the
many
ones
are-
we're talking
How
about.
many are what?
How many tickets are delivered to residents versus
Well,
passing?
when I worked Southwest 13th, there was quite a few people.
Really?
I see the same car.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think Holly would be different because it's a thoroughfare to get from
More
I-5 to get
commuters.
through town, more commuters, so I think that would be, yes.
Same one, I mean.
Well, we know where AJ's gonna be for the next.
Yeah.
I'll be everywhere, just put it that way.
Holly,
Okay,
that's incredible data.
Thank you for your service. Planning? Brianne, got anything?
No big projects or anything coming up. Planning Commission's been doing work sessions, with Dawn and our new legal counsel. But yeah, no big updates. I'm here for any questions. Otherwise, I am gonna hop off. I have that meeting at 10:30, but if there's any questions, I have a few minutes.
When's our food cart open?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the the Canby Beer Library status?
I haven't heard an update in a few weeks, so I'll check in with Dawn and Ryan about that.
I heard something on Monday that they just finally got through the permitting process with Clackamas County and that they're aiming to have it open in June.
Awesome, okay.
Great. Yeah, that's great news.
About the Rite Aid store.
That's gonna be a grocery outlet. When is that happening? It's exciting.
That is very early stages. Yeah, we don't have any applications or anything, but I did also hear that, so.
Marshalls?
Marshall's, I hear, is coming to the Big Five.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then the Chipotle status, Dawn told me that, they're kind of gotten through their ODOT issue, is that right?
That's right, yeah, but Emma, I think, is ready to approve the land use side of things, but yeah, we have to wait for that to come through as well.
Chipotle?
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen. Yeah, it's, they had a hang up with ODOT for the egress and, yeah, it's,
I don't like the restaurants.
okay, that's all I had, because those are my most
Thank
asked
you.
questions.
Yeah, I know, exciting stuff. Things are coming in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. I'm gonna hop off. I hope everyone has a great day.
Bless your heart. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Public Works?
What is?
We were just wondering.
I was gonna say,
I'm done.
yeah, most of my stuff gets aired out, early on. I don't know if I have any other things to report on. We did get the traffic signs up on South Pine for the speed. I know we were talking about, either talking with the neighbor or having them trim up the trees that were overhanging a speed sign right there on South Pine as well. I know he was talking about doing that last Friday. I don't know if I actually got that or not. I haven't made it over there to look one. Other than that, I don't know if I have anything else.
I just want to comment that we should really be thankful as citizens for all the public workers, police, planning, and public works and things like that, and city council. But I'm saying who respond to this commission. You attend regularly, you you give feedback, you actually respond to our concerns. I thank you for your continued service to the citizens of this community. Thank you very much.
Yes, we have a wonderful team. I'm very proud to be the counselor that has this team taking care of the city. So you guys do an amazing job. I'm always every day proud of you guys. And I want to tell you guys that I've been liaison to several commissions and boards and committees, and you function very well, which is helpful because you have a very smooth process in how you request things, and so it makes it easier to respond to. So I commend you all for the way you operate this commission.
I think, you should be all complimented in the sense that, citizens come to us. And I don't know the amount of citizens that go to other committees to express their concerns, but they seem to come to us. And it is a steady flow of them. So they must be getting something from us, or at least a forum to be heard. So my compliments to you on that. Okay. I'm sorry.
Can I ask Spencer a quick question?
Absolutely.
I've noticed some of the ODOT signs that are off of 99, like on Elm and whatnot, they're turned around, but when you're coming from different angles, you can still see them. Could we talk to them again about covering up the signs that are not in use? I know they are, and
So they either have to cover or turn the sign.
so turning it is sufficient,
Turning
even
it
if you can see it
is-
from other angles. And it might
It's
cause
a
confusion.
giant pain, but that is the national standard and approved. Trust me, I don't like it either when I'm driving down 99 and they're all on the other side saying only.
Yeah, it drives my kid nuts. He's like, what, that's
not-
like, it's okay, really.
It's the most bizarre.
The majority of that is, you're supposed to be looking at the sign
On your
on
side.
your side of the road.
Yeah.
And by just going and covering, 9 times out of 10, those always get
Yeah.
blown away, ripped or something like that, so that's why it's.
You got things all over the road.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
City council liaison?
I don't have anything to report that I haven't already said, so if you have questions, I can answer, hopefully. Otherwise. No,
All righty, thank you always for showing.
sorry. I wasn't able to-
Council members, board members, Deanne?
Nothing new and prevailing. I thought we were the only community in the country that had speed bumps, but I found a couple in Daytona Beach shoulder. That took me home.
I had a concern that came up yesterday. I was driving to Space Age and I'm avoiding 99. And, I didn't realize that Bird Parkway
It's
and,
getting as bad as it is over there.
yeah, well, no, it's been bad, but I didn't realize that it was down to one lane
Yeah,
going
Oh.
out of town.
that's no problem.
So, yesterday I ended up turning left to go into Space Age because I was a little bit concerned about trying to go straight across and confusing the guy turning onto 99.
You're leaving space.
There's no warning of it being down to one lane until you get to the intersection. So, there's a lot of people going that way and I just noticed it yesterday.
Yeah. I noticed it on Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious if nothing got.
It's one way by Starbucks is closed.
Yeah,
One of the turn lanes.
Yeah.
yeah,
Not there.
Yeah.
So that lane's closed?
yeah,
That's Starbucks, yeah.
yeah, at Starbucks, yeah. So only the left lane, you're able to do everything in apparently, but it's
Gotcha.
confusing because the person in the opposite side, I don't know.
Doesn't.
If I were gonna go straight, I was like, I'm turning,
Because I'll be going from Space Age to take a left to go towards
They
Safeway.
must have been doing KE right there. I'll be
That's
honest,
what
I
I'm
have avoided that myself, so I.
Yeah, and I haven't been over there in a few days.
Good luck if you going down toward.
Basically, it's for the next.
It's different every day.
99 is just a mess.
Yeah, I just thought that the constraint the company should alert us. One thing that I am concerned about
I'm
is.
surprised they didn't have a right lane close ahead or something.
Yeah, there was no sign,
Huh.
but the other concern that I have is happened today was one of the KNE guys was on his cell phone. driving, and I'm like, okay, shouldn't you be following the rules of the road?
Bye, AJ.
We've cited a couple already,
Yeah.
and, I'm close with the project manager, so.
Okay.
I let him know anytime I see something, if they didn't get some funds.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
Jennifer,
All right, I had two things that I wanted to ask about. One of them has become more of a concern since we've been rerouting traffic off of 99 onto Second and Third. I know you guys have heard me say before that Second across Grant, people don't think, they assume it's a four-way stop. And it's not a four-way stop, and it can never be a four-way stop because there's not as much traffic on Second as there is on Grant. But instead of it being every third time I drive up the street, I have to honk at somebody who's going across thinking it's a four-way stop. It's every time. So I haven't the last week since Grant's been closed because no one's crossing there, but and I'm not going there. But I wanted to ask, could we please put a cross traffic does not stop added to the stop signs on Second at Grant? Because I think that would help, and it's low cost, and if we could do it in the near-ish future with all of the closures on Grant, I know that'd be super rad.
I'm good with just doing that unless somebody wanted to do a motion, second vote, so I could just do it.
Yeah.
And then one other question that I guess goes to you, actually, there's a low spot on Third Avenue when you turn off of Ivy. It's a sewer grate and it sits like lower on the road. So when you're taking a tight turn off of southbound Ivy onto Southwest Third, you dip down into it. It's pretty significant. When they're doing the improvements on Ivy, would that get addressed as well? I had always assumed so, but I had never asked, so thank you. That's all.
thank you. Jackie?
A couple things, I'd offer some other staff that maybe Dave and I can get together with you. And, we got a blessing from the city to do a social media, if it was just personal, when you start a Facebook group for the traffic safety. So we could do that, but we would have to be the ones running it, and we thought we would kind of reach out to you to help us figure out what should be put here. What would be the, the things to talk about. And then, so we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
About us meeting up. And then, unfortunately, there was that incident with the train this last week, and we know the family. We know the family, and it was very, really hard.
What happened?
I don't know the details, because obviously I've lost my own child, so I didn't go, hey, what are the details?
Yeah.
We just know it was incredibly violent and
So, do you know any details about, that we need
I don't know if I
to
can comment on
no, you don't.
the fine details about
yeah.
if it was intentional or not,
No.
but somebody was walking down the tracks and was hit by a train, right between, so just, I guess, east of Pine,
Right, so where the flowers are.
yes.
So, please don't give
I
us
asked
detail,
the
but
question.
it's more like, was they were actually walking on tracks or crossing the tracks? Not in Pine, but.
Sounds like they came from the bushes, like off of Pine, like if you take Pine southbound and instead of going around that corner towards Fourth, you just kind of go straight and just kind of went through the bushes and then out onto the tracks from there.
But I guess the only reason I really brought that up is because I wanted to, because we talked about doing another PSA.
Yeah.
You know, how I did the crosswalk one with the police, and then watching the city council, we've had train conductors come up and be concerned about some other train areas where kids are crossing inappropriately, so.
Well, what I can offer is I did ask the question, was it intentional or accidental because of my work with this with the suicide prevention task force. And it's my understanding that this young man was headed to work. He worked at the Fort Myers gas station. He was headed to work, paying attention to his phone, and he had earbuds in, those noise canceling earbuds. And I got my information from two different sources, two different agencies. And one individual said he saw the earbuds in his ears. So I think the PSA should surround
That's why I'm
phone use
awareness.
and there's noise canceling earbuds that, so they're only hearing the music and they're not gonna hear it. The train horn did blow.
So,
It was not in the quiet zone. I live near there, I heard the train horn and then very quickly after heard sirens. So I know the train horn blew and this.
So that's
individual
why I
must not have heard it.
only brought it up, not to cause any more.
No, I know,
No.
it's a very tragic thing. that happened.
There's also other situations that I've seen from city council with the train conductor for the other. So I thought we really need to make that our next safety focus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there needs
I
to be
was
safety videos.
wanting to check in because, I mean, it's a tragedy.
It was,
I mean, you know, like somebody's going across tracks when 10, less than 20 feet away, they have a fully crossing situation that, you know, will have avoided this. And this is, I'm not blaming, I don't get
No,
me
no,
wrong.
it's-
I mean, I'm just,
It's sad, it's.
it is
very
so
upsetting.
tragic to lose somebody like that when they're. So the message is, whatever we can do is
so
do not
I wanna just-
walk on tracks.
I don't wanna, I move on from that subject. Sorry. The only other thing was that, Spencer, there's a sidewalk on, near my house where you guys worked on, took out the concrete and it's full of gravel with a. You need to read.
Doesn't get toward that too.
No, and I went for a walk in the dark.
She'll never do that again.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I forgot, even though I live right there, I forgot. And then the lighting on the 13th, the street lighting. It's not very bright. Is there different light bulbs I can put in there that are, some of them are brighter than the others? Like,
We have been going through and as the ballasts of
Is
the
it just
actual
pointless?
pictures go out,
some of those are pointless.
then they do go to LED style. We don't really have a. Once the light that's out there is no longer usable, then it gets an LED. LEDs aren't really cheap in upfront, but we don't have to go out and do maintenance on them all
And
the
they're
time.
cheap
So we don't have,
right?
we don't really have a, like, we're starting on this side of town and operating all the way through. It's kind of as one goes bad, we replace it.
Okay.
So it's replaced with a light if the ballast still works, replaced with an LED if the ballast goes out.
And the LED is generally lighter. A little
It's
brighter.
brighter, because the ones that are right now are pointless. If you walk in the dark.
She's gonna be out there poking it.
Just don't get caught, lady. That's a criminal mischief. All right, let's see, who else? Eric.
The only thing I have is, I'm waiting on House Bill 4109 to, get signed off the speaker's desk to hopefully go to the governor's desk for that,
The session's over and nothing's happening.
that's not gonna get just shuffled over.
Speaker's desk,
Yeah, it's just, it's,
awaiting signature. It should be the governor's desk waiting signature.
Well-
Go to measure your street.
That particular bill is significant in the sense that it will allow. Right now, there is a restriction on speed cameras that an officer has to be present to operate it.
one of those housekeeping.
This will eliminate that law, eliminate that requirement, so that then it allows the city to
So, yeah.
to utilize speed cameras in the city without having to have an officer present. So, you know, it would be like Milwaukee's van, but even in Milwaukee's van, they have to have a person sitting in the van. This will allow us to have one more tool
But it does say.
to
waiting
assist
signature. And then if you. look at
enforcement
the
speed.
history, it has-
Not trying to minimize the importance of an officer's presence to give a ticket to evaluate for drunk driving, all those other important criteria that the police officer does when he does the ticket. But it allows us to combat these ongoing, you know, community concerns about speeding in a much more effective tool.
So just to add on what Bob said is that we know this is, once this element gets filled, it's just so governor signs it, then that just gives us the tools to continue working now, where I can start calling manufacturers and saying, hey, what does it take to get this? so I can get more homework done, because as of right now, the conversations I've had with reps are, well, Oregon doesn't permit them, Portland's got the okay, but if you wanna get it in your area, this is what's blocking you, and it's like, so the conversation just stops. So I'm hoping that once this gets signed, the conversation now can get opened up, and I can say, okay, what does it take to get the process? Get that information, pilot, bring it to here, input, and then approach the city council member. That's the projected out.
And that's House Bill 4109, is that right?
4109.
Is there an
And
emergency
hopefully-
clause on that?
I did not see that.
Okay, so it'll be
Hopefully
90
we'll-
days before we go into effect.
Hopefully with all the studies that we have to show that there is big speeding issues. This will be a tool that the city may consider buying into,
We'll see.
and we'll see.
So when I make that presentation, I'm going out to Beaverton to get Bob. to bring Bob.
I will gladly come back for that little discussion point, and I will gladly be the first up there to take the cans that they want to throw at me.
See, that's why I have to go get him.
Because my presentation is that I am not trying to increase revenue. I am not trying to increase tickets. I am trying to get 0 tickets from the speed camera, because that means that nobody is speeding. So, folks,
So,
I had a question for Tracy really quick. What's the status on the courts as far as the criminal court?
We have not had that discussion yet. We were waiting for House Bill 4002, which has passed. It's not signed by the governor yet. But now that we know that they're going to recriminalize the hard drives, it's a reversal kind of, it's a fix for Measure 110. It has passed both houses or both chambers, and it's waiting for the governor's signature. It will make it an unclassed misdemeanor. I can't speak for the whole council because we haven't had that discussion yet. We're gonna open that up probably pretty soon, probably next month or two. It is my hope that we'll bring the misdemeanor charges back to meeting court with the exception of drug charges, because we as a city don't have the resources to do the deflection part, the rehab stuff. We don't have this, so it's my personal hope that George can smooth things over with the DA, because I know his feathers are a little ruffled right now, because of some comments that were made publicly in the meeting by our judge. So I'm hoping that we can get to a point where we can bring back the petty theft stuff and just send up the drug charges. That's my hope, but that's what I'll be advocating for in our discussion, but we haven't opened that up. We were waiting until that passed, which just happened, so.
And I don't think the DA's office would be allowed to say no to prosecuting those cases. I think it's more.
That's
of a-
kind of the understanding I had, that if we send it up, he has to do something with it. But I don't want to send everything, because I feel like, the business owners here deserve the attention, is when somebody is, thieving from them. I mean, I know people who work at Fred Meyer, right? And, one of my son's friends said that basically they just kind of have a tab. And until it gets to about the $1,000 level where it's a felony, they don't even bother sometimes. So it's like, I don't, someone takes something from, the Lego store, I want that to be prosecuted. And I want people to know that we're not gonna stand for theft in Canby. And so I really want those things to be brought back here so we can pay good attention to them. So we'll see. But that discussion hasn't happened yet, but it is on the docket to happen. So if you want to come and express your thoughts at the time, I'll let you know in that meeting.
All right.
All right.
any other discussion point?
Just, that's it. I'm just quick informed, I'm not gonna be here next month. I'm going to go see the eclipse in Ohio, because that's where my family lives, so for the first time in a decade, we're going back to Ohio, my husband's from Michigan, so we're gonna be there for a few
Whoa,
weeks.
all right.
Everyone gets to meet our kids,
Bless your heart.
and the 3-hour time difference.
April 10th.
No, that's interesting.
Okay.
Oh, I just take it.
We put on the
I think, unless,
Anything else again?
do you keep the sign-in or just the, just go to the minutes? It usually goes to the
You,
secretary.
you, you keep it.
Yeah.
I take
And,
it.
um,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay,
Derailed.
thank you all. Keep smiling.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
You and I.
Yes.